So I have the buggy back out, mostly because I was waiting on parts. Now I have the ball ends for the rear camber links, and the plastic ends themselves are there. Revised chassis brace set. So this is for both 2.0 buggy and truggy. So I ended up getting two kits, one there for the truggy, one here for the buggy. New rear shock. What is it called again? Shock tower for more holes here in the rear camber links. Also, the rear wing now is adjustable, so you can raise it up and down, and you can run longer shocks if you wanted to without before you had to buy a separate tower that had just the basically the upper row there, and the stock one has the lower. So now it's basically a 2-in-1, so that's nice. I don't have to later on, you know, if I do want to run a longer shock, it's already built in here, so that is nice. And also the new front shock tower, so comes with the added row for making front longer links, and it comes with the extra spot for the front shocks. So I'll show you what it looks like. I'll compare them side by side. Same with the chassis brace if I see any differences between them. But and I also do have a new drive shaft, center drive shaft for it, because I'll show you this one and just how worn out it is. But yeah, I'll get started taking all this apart, and I'll show you what the towers and everything looks like side by side. So here are the new shock towers on top of the old shock towers. I just put 2 bolts in the bottom so that they stay lined up, just so you can see, especially in the rear, the shape, how it's changed. They've cut out more. Obviously more holes drilled out for the wing mount, different positions. And in the top here, you can see that it's even shorter. Also, we have 5 holes now instead of 4, and you can see that it goes further in than the original does. And not only that, you also get to kind of space it out a bit more, so you don't have to be so drastic when you're changing the shock position. Second row, I'll take the screws out now. You can see the difference. Oh, and even just this huge cutout here. The new one definitely feels lighter than the original, but you can see the 3 rows compared to the 2. And then with the fronts, a good amount here off the side. Front obviously feels lighter too, because we have an extra set of rows here. It's more drilled out, and we're missing that whole top, but the rest of it's basically the exact same shape. A lot more weight taken off of the rear one, that's for sure. And then, like I said before, only had 1 row here. Now we have 2. So also 3 positions. This has 4, and this has originally 4 positions. Now has 5. So that's the difference between them. I'm just going to take the chassis brace off now, and we'll see what those look like. So here's the chassis brace. Old on the bottom here, new on the top. This rear stuff looks exactly the same. Didn't have any problems with the rear because it's only a little tiny drive shaft. So that stuff is fine. We don't have to worry about that. Here is the drive shaft. These are the front. This is the middle. And you can see just how much, it's hard to tell in video here. Maybe it's the light. But there is basically a huge dent, like a huge chunk taken out of this one. And then in the rear, not too bad, but it's got a spot here. Front, you can see there where the drive shaft was just rubbing into it, even just leaving little flakes of aluminum on it. New front, you can see it's got a little cutout in it for some reason. I don't know why, but mostly is this gap here. Huge, basically the width of my finger now compared to, I don't know, maybe my pinky would fit in there. Stack them on top of each other and you'll be able to see the difference a bit better. Just give me a second. So there you go. You can see the huge change here in the front, which is nice. I like how much more it's cut open, how wider it is. Looks like we shouldn't have a problem here. So that is nice. This middle one does not look any different from this side when you just look at the sides, because even just when you have these stacked side by side and you're looking at them, you can maybe, well, yeah, you should be able to see how much smaller of a gap there compared to here. I mean, in person it's a lot easier to see it, but with these, when you stack them side by side, I mean, it does look like there is a bit of a difference there in the gap, but I don't know. It looks like it is moved over a bit more, but it's not as drastic as it is in the front. To tell, like, it looks like it's cut out a bit more on this side. We'll have to see. I mean, the back was not really a problem, more or less the front. So yeah, I'll put it all back in, put new drive shaft in as well in the buggy. Truggy's got a little marks on it, but I'm not going to end up changing that. I'll just keep this as the backup now. And yeah, put it all back in the car. I'll show you what it looks like all done. So everything is back together, and I didn't have problems with the rear tower. Like the front tower went on, not a problem. That was simple. Chassis braces went on perfectly fine as well. Although this one, man, that's why I have the light on here. It is super close. I feel like that's going to rub again, which kind of sucks, but I think I might just take this one back out and put the old used one in and keep this as backup still. But this side actually looks really good. Doesn't look like we should have a problem here. It looks like it's got a lot more room than the front side. But when you go to the rear shock tower, Tekno does tell you to cut the rear body mount. Basically, it hangs over and goes onto the other side of the shock tower. You have to basically cut that whole piece off. And now, what I didn't see is if you're going to go into the middle hole or top hole with the wing mount, you're going to need to cut it out a bit more. Notch it out a little bit so that this doesn't interfere with the wing nuts. Also, you need to add 2 smaller screws and nuts for the bottom of the wing, because the wing normally mounts into the diff here. And also these screws, I had to put shorter ones in because it usually goes through the wing, the shock tower, into the diff. So now that we're missing the wing, it's definitely a lot longer. So I put some shorter ones in. Can actually be a little shorter too, because if I want to get this screw off down here, I have to take these guys out. Not a big deal, but it's just something I didn't see. And especially with having to cut these out. Like I said, Tekno said just to cut it, but it didn't say anything else about if you're going into different positions that you're going to need to do a little more trimming. Not a big deal. Figured it out. Got it to work. So I'll just show you from the back side here. So normally those 2 lower wing screws go into the diff. So now they're not. And yeah, just had to, good thing I had the whole RC screw kits, but yeah, just ended up throwing that in the middle position for now, and we'll see how it goes. And yeah, got new wing on there, which was already there, but that's kind of why I put a new wing. The other one was mostly destroyed, so we'll see how that does, if that helps me out. And plus I can play around now with the wing higher up, see how that does, put it back down to normal. Yeah, just a little heads up there if you are at least doing the rear, just all the stuff that is there. I mean, on the Tekno website it just says all you got to do is cut the body mount. They don't say you might need some extra screws and nuts and shorter screws, but that's all right. Figured it out. Car's all ready to go now. I'm just hoping this revised chassis brace does not rub through, but we'll have to see once we get it running. So hopefully get to the track soon, but thanks for watching.